Okay, so I think we're live again. We'd love for you to
Live
click
now.
and show us. Sorry about that, guys. Awesome. We've got just wait a few more minutes for people to come back in.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. So I'm not quite sure what to do here. We had an internet issue. We've got two services, and our service on Zoom wasn't communicating with the service on YouTube. So if you're beginning from the very beginning, we are talking about how this month the market's been up and down, and it hasn't been reaching its targets. There's been a lot of price manipulation, and so now the question is, where are we going to from here? So I was about to talk about Saturn retrograde. So I'd love for you to stick in the chat that you can hear us, that we're back online, and we're all good to go. So here we are with last year's price action for Bitcoin. And Saturn retrograde is a really big. I think I was talking about the magnetics, and maybe something happened in the magnetics there as I was talking about when certain planets in our galaxies and so on move together in certain ways. They create different magnetics, right? Different energy patterns, and those energy patterns can affect our behavior according to astrologists, and they definitely affect the tides. The moon has a very definite effect on our tides and often our moods. So this is Saturn retrograde, and you can see Saturn retrograde last year went retrograde on the 10th of May. This year it was similar. I think it was the 15th. So from the 10th of May, you will see the price action on the daily pretty much traded sideways in between 8,000 and 10,000. So there was like $2,000 amongst it, right? And then it just kept, then it went for a period going down in June and July. And then it started swinging up towards the 20th of July. We started to swing back up, and we created this really big Bart Simpson where we come down, we go straight up, we come across, and we come back down over July, August, and then into September, and then we crashed, and then we come out of Saturn on the 28th of September last year, and then we started going sideways for a week, and then we started going up on the very steep trajectory. So given this year, Saturn retrograde has been pretty much following a similar pattern. So if I go to Bitcoin, here on the daily, and I just bring the candles down to the similar size that we have had on our chart, something like that, bringing it in like that. Oops, what happened? Here we go. So Saturn retrograde started around about here. We came down into it, and look at this. We have pretty much been trading sideways in between 10,000, right? So now, like the last time, it was a difference of $2,000 to $3,000, but we're in the tens of thousands, so it's the difference of $10,000 coming across here like this. So we are now at the 8th of July, and we're hoping that we're going to break up from here. But according to TradingView, Saturn retrograde, of those of you who aren't aware, is the planet of finance, institution, limitation, and I've put here retarded speed. So if there is anything that you want to do, it's going to be retarded, because Saturn is the planet of limitation. And for some of you, this may be way out there, but I have to say we're following the same pattern that we followed yesterday. Can you see that? Right?
Last year, you mean?
Yeah, last
Yeah.
year, the same pattern
Yeah.
of last year's Saturn retrograde. So given that we entered a little bit later, we entered Saturn retrograde a little bit like a week later, we could expect in the next couple of weeks to continue to going sideways within that 10,000 mark. So the price indicators are definitely showing we could probably reach the 40,000, maybe even 43,000 in the next week. And then come back down again a little bit and keep trading sideways until July. And what I find interesting here, Teresa, is that if we follow the same Bart Simpson fractal as we did last year, right? We come over and we're just going to go like this with the tool. We're going to trade, in between the 30,000 and 40,000, although we are doing higher lows, whatever. And then we come towards the end of July and we have a big rally, and then we start trading sideways again. And then around about September, towards the middle to the end of September, if we're following the same fractal of the last Saturn retrograde and we come back down, the timing of that is around about the Shemitah year that Jeroen von Langer talked about in our interview from the Blockchain Today, which usually is a forecast of a stock market crash coming. And often Bitcoin will crash with the stock market. Only Bitcoin goes along and then it goes boom after, it recovers faster than the stock market, right? So that would mean that
great buying opportunity is what that means.
Yeah, well, it means that within the next couple of weeks, we've still got an opportunity for accumulation, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got some opportunities to make some profits here. And then we've got some more opportunity for accumulation before that final October, November, December bull run and the blow off top that would happen. So I want you to write those down so that you remember that this could be happening. So if you're trading in September, you need to be really careful because we could see a stock market crash in September going into October, which would affect the Bitcoin market, and then we will recover a lot faster than the stock market traditionally, right? So let's look.
A couple questions. Yeah. Can you go back to your other chart? Yeah. Because I get questions like this a lot, and you have much greater expertise in this area than I do. Difference between retrograde and Saturn progressive. What's the difference between those two things marked on your chart?
Yeah, exactly. So the planets go like this, right? And they circle around like that, right? So when Saturn goes retrograde, you would think it's going to reverse and go the other way. And it actually doesn't. We call it retrograde, but what's happening is it shifts its trajectory. So the magnetics of the energy relationship between that planet, the planet Earth, and all of the other planets in astrology and astronomy shifts. And the dynamic of that, according to astrologers, has an effect on human behavior, human psychology, and of course, psychology drives the stock market.
So right? It's still spinning the same from its perspective, but from our perspective, our relationship to how it's spinning has changed. Is that right?
Yeah, there are no. It does it does. The dynamic in the stars does shift. Yeah, I mean, I can do a whole talk about what it actually means in another video. I wasn't
okay. And so what's the progressive?
So progressive means it's shifting back on its normal track again.
Okay.
So that means the concept or the psychological concept of limitation on finances, career, and business gets lifted. So you can expect to see, a lot of movement forward around that time. So I just find the timing of it's really interesting. We're going to have to see, how it plays out. But I just wanted to point out that we are following the exact same fractal as last year of Saturn retrograde of this retarded speed, not quite getting to where we need to be, not getting the speed of a bull run, right? We get these, like if you watch Bitcoin on the 1 minute, I don't know if you can see that, but certainly this morning, if you're watching the price action on the 1 minute, all of a sudden you'll see these big jumps and candles and you go, wow, it's going to be like the bull run that we had when we were in the bull run where it just goes up and up and up and up and up. And what happens, you'll see it here, look at this, just a few minutes ago, it goes boom, and then it just goes, right? The speed gets retarded. So the reason why I'm pointing this out to you is don't expect takeoffs. We have to trade this very differently than what we would be doing as if we were in a normal market where there wasn't all of that limitation and restriction.
So where are we at right now in terms of the Saturn retrograde then?
In terms of Saturn retrograde, we are in the middle. So it started in May, June, July, and then it goes through the rest of July, August into September.
That's last year. So this year we're basically dealing with the same thing.
This year's is a few days later. So Saturn retrograde goes progressive in the first week of October.
Okay, perfect. So the second yellow line there is really the end of the retrograde, where Saturn's now moving in the direction in the sky that we're used to seeing it move in the sky.
Yeah.
Like from our perspective, a retrograde is Saturn's moving backward in the sky, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, it's literally not moving backward in the sky. It's just shifting its trajectory.
Just our perspective of it has changed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Oops. Yeah. So if we come on to the daily and we have a look at, oh, what's happened to all my lines? Sorry about this.
Did you switch charts? Are you maybe on a different Bitcoin chart?
No, yeah, it's like my lines have all disappeared. We're having some technical issues. One would think Mercury's gone retrograde, but it hasn't. Okay, cool. So let's have a look at where we're at right now. Actually, let me go over to my pickup sticks chart because it's all in there, right? So you can see that this, if we have a look at this line here, this is the 40,000 line of that we've been coming up to. Let me go into the daily. So for a while there, it looked like we were in this descending channel and going lower and lower. But just recently with that last dump down to 28,600, we're actually getting higher lows and we have created an ascending triangle. And at the bottom of a market, an ascending triangle is not only a bullish pattern that breaks to the upside 80% of the time, it can also be a signifier of a trend reversal. So we've had a trend going down and now we've started to get a trend going up over the past few weeks, that is. We have not been getting higher highs, but we have been getting higher lows and we're meeting resistance around 36,000. So we're almost there, right? Breaking out of this big pattern inside of a bigger pattern. So this would, this breakout here of this ascending triangle has a target of 41,778, right? But as Teresa was saying in the other video that I think we're going to put part 1 and part 2 when we get back out of YouTube for those of you who missed the part 1 bit before we got stopped out on the live stream. The targets haven't been being reached, right? We're falling short of them. Sometimes we've overreached them, but for the most part, we've been falling short. So we could hit resistance at 41,341 if we're not getting volume coming in. And as Teresa pointed out, this is the kind of volume we want to see to go into a long, not this kind of volume. Because what will happen is that there's just not enough to push the price up. And so it goes sideways. Your trade has to stay open longer, and you're paying fees every single time, every 8 hours. So right now, as we zoom in on the 1 minute, we had a bit of a bull flag here that we've fallen out of, and now it looks like we're retracing back into. And if you can see these blue lines, this is an ascending column that we're snuggling onto at the bottom part. But the D-Day here is at 35,100. We need to break through that resistance to continue up to the channel and to continue up to that first take profit area of 36,000. So as I was saying to the Crypto Ninjas, which is our private mastermind group, this is dodgy trading here. We've got the Ichimoku is got a red cloud coming up, so there could be further downside. So the pattern you want to trade is this triangle, but you want to see it break clear of this golden pocket here at 34,866. You want it to come out, you want it to go up, come back down and confirm, and then come back up, even above 35,100, Teresa, right? Because if you get into a long here, like we've been rejected off of this line a couple of times here, it could reverse back down on you again, right?
Yeah, I think actually it's worth talking about the difference in philosophy of trading from a position of strength versus trading from a position of certainty.
Okay.
Right. And that's just a choice every trader has to make. Is the strategy you're adopting one where you trade from a position of strength? And strength would mean you actually try and get in right at the edge of the bounce on the pattern, and you get every inch of that move, whatever that move is, right? Whereas a position of certainty would be you wait for the breakout, you wait for it to come back and reconfirm, you wait for a volume supported bounce, and then you enter the trade once it's actually above the point where the breakout went to before it retraced and confirmed the former resistance as support, right? So that would be trading from a position of strength. And whichever of those strategies you're trading from, you've got to make sure your risk management approach matches with that strategy.
Yeah.
Right. So in other words, if you're trading from a position of strength, you got to be ready to get back out of the trade quickly if it moves in the wrong direction. Putting your stop loss tight is usually just an invitation of stop loss hunting. So personally, I prefer to see people just watch their trades. And if it's looking like the market's doing the opposite and the volume isn't there to support your action, just get back out of the trade. Yeah. But trading from a position of strength has disadvantages because you're entering so late. You need to use a lower leverage and be a lot more conservative in your trade to have the same level of risk management, right? So that's just a personal choice which way you want to go. Anything you want to add on that, Nicola?
So I was just going to show to demonstrate what you were talking about. There was some technical analysis that were calling this a head and shoulders, which is a bearish pattern, and the target for that was 32,907 approximately, right? Yeah. I was treating it as it could be a head and shoulders in terms of my trades. So, because it could break out, but technically speaking, it's not, because you have to touch the neckline. Like the shoulders got to touch the neckline on both sides. The head's got to touch the neckline on both sides, and the shoulders got to touch the neckline on both sides. And here, the head did not touch, right? So there was a big gap here. And then, so we had a whole lot of people that traded this as a short. And in technical analysis, which you were saying coming from a position of strength, you would trade the breakout once it was confirmed. So you would short here, if you shorted here rather, and then it broke out here, and then it came back up to retest the neckline as resistance, but it did not come back down to confirm the breakout.
Yeah, and so if you were entering from a position of certainty in that case, it actually retested the neckline 2 candles over, right? Do you see it actually came back up sooner? You might have entered at that point and you actually would have had a significant loss if you had entered from a position of certainty. If you had entered on that second or third candle where it did come around, retested the neckline and didn't really break down, right? So
you wouldn't enter on that candle though, right? Like if you're talking about a position of strength, the technical analysis is that you would enter as soon as we came back down and surpassed the breakout point. So once we got past the support of 33,510, technically that's where you would enter.
Yeah, well, all things are subject to interpretation, right? But a lot of traders would have not considered that wick as relevant. They would have seen that test, the first test of the neckline as support, had it come back down, entered on the third or fourth candle. I think it's the fourth candle over, and the trade would have gone nowhere. So that's where, like, that would be super important to be watching the volume and have other confirmations. I'm not saying that would be a good idea. That would be an example where thinking you're entering from a position of strength would have tripped you up, right? It would have been an easy mistake to make, thinking that that's the point where the market's breaking down and you can now enter.
Yeah.
So especially in a market like this, where there's a lot of market manipulation going on, doing this entering from a position of strength has often been failing for people, because right where you would enter from the position of strength is right where the market is reversing. And that's where all the traders would be putting in their trade, right? So that's why you want to be super careful to look at, are all the other indicators agreeing if you're trading using a position of strength strategy.
Yeah, and the Ichimoku, if you're using the Ichimoku, which is really good, along in the green with no red coming is a really good place to enter into your trade. So let's have a look at this here. If you had entered down the bottom here, because I know Carl from the Moon entered into a long somewhere around here, I think, and you had ridden this all the way up to the top. In the market that we're in right now, we saw a lot of slowing down in volume and we saw quite a bit of resistance here, right? We touched the golden ratio here, or this fib line, many times, and when that keeps touching without breaking through, it just kept wicking out. That's an indication that we could fall back down, which is exactly what we did. So instead of holding the trade open longer, you have the option to take some profit out here, which is exactly what Carl said he did. I think he took profit here on the third candle and went, there's a lot of resistance, so I'm going to take some profit off the table so that this trade is now in profit. And if it retraces down, you can always add back into it. But let's have a look at what to do now. I mean, again, it's superbly dicey. We've just had a rally, and you can see the Ichimoku cloud is coming up. But I would just we've got a really big move coming. There's just no question about that. And I'm thinking, because we've got the bullish divergence, that big move is going to be more likely to be bullish rather than bearish, that this triangle we will break out to the upside. Let me go back to the 4 hourly.
I love that expression, superbly dicey. I got to quote you on that one.
Superbly dicey.
Yeah.
The first
good.
take profit,
I'm learning to speak New Zealand.
Yeah. Given we've not been reaching our targets, unless volume comes in, the first take profit of this, like basically you would enter the trade once we broke out of this triangle. We come into the triangle, we break out of it, we confirm 35,960 as support, and we ride it up to the Fibonacci. Depending on what's going on in the market, that's a really good place to take profit, 37,640 or 38,000 rather. 446 is the next one. But ultimately, this triangle's going up to 42,000, right? Just over 42,000 if we break through all of these resistances. Now, how many times we go up and down on the way there is going to be something that we will see as it unfolds. But we're just saying so many of the targets aren't being met in this really highly manipulated market. We're in the red resistance on the 4 hourly, and we've got resistance coming up on the 1 hour. So if you're entering into a long now, you want to take profits sooner rather than later. If you don't want to risk all of the fees that you have to pay by leaving it open for those really big legendary trades that some of the other technical analysis done. And again, it's up to you. It's your capital, it's your strategy, and there's two different strategies there. Hold it open till the top and let it go up and down and pay all the fees, or take the profit as soon as we hit resistance, and you can just enter back in or add to the trade when it does its retracement. Those are two different strategies that you need to decide what's good for your heart.
Yes, good right? To recollect how many times we and other YouTubers have said in the last 2 months, there's a big breakout coming, and the breakout just didn't play out, right? We could be in that same scenario all over again, where there's a big breakout coming, and the forces that are manipulating the market right now have other ideas, right? So I think everything you urge, we just urge caution, like make sure you at least take some profit off the table, and
Yeah, because
Don't
look at
leave
this.
your trades unattended. Don't leave your trades unattended.
Exactly. Yeah, and put your alerts on. This 35,100 is a really big resistance. Look, came up here, got rejected off it a few times, came up here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 times, got rejected. So we need volume to push out of here, right, to get past 35,000. So if you're looking at doing a long, if you're experienced in scalping, you can take the risk and scalp it to there. That's great. But if you're not experienced and you're beginning, a safer bet would be to wait till we break resistance, because this is a big trade, right, and come up above here, or and then ride it up to the triangle, and then another big trade is coming here. So there's always going to be opportunities for you to make money in the market, so you don't have to rush in on dodgy trades and then risk losing your capital. So let's have a look at Ethereum. Somebody wanted us to look at EOS as well. I'm not sure if they're on the stream. If you're still on the stream, since we got stopped out, let me know. Ethereum, in my opinion, is actually looking more bullish than Bitcoin. Right, we've got this. This is on the daily. And the reason I say that is that we're trading above the 100-day moving average, and we are in the EMA ribbon, in the resistance of the EMA ribbon instead of under it, which is what Bitcoin is, ready to break out here momentarily. So if we go to the 4-hourly, see what patterns we've got here. See, we've got higher highs, very, very nice, respecting that really nicely. And I think in my other chart, I have that as a channel, right? So we're at the point now where we actually, on the 4-hourly, we just got rejected from the top of this line here of the narrowing wedge that we've got going on there. So let's go and have a look on the 1-hourly, because I believe there's a long coming up on the 1-hourly. You said there was a bullish divergence here as well, yeah?
Yeah, there's it's not on ETH, it's showing up on Bitcoin.
Oh, on Bitcoin, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we're coming up to the apex of these two lines here. We could come back down, but it looks like we're getting nicely supported off the EMA ribbon, and we've created a higher high. This is why I've been saying that Ethereum, I think, is looking bullish, more bullish than Bitcoin. So let me go over to my pickup sticks chart, where I've just put in some new lines. We were in this bull flag. Look at this really nice bull flag that we had here on the 15-minute. We've broken down from that, and now we're recovering back up. We've got a nice bounce off the 2325, coming back up, and let's see what's going to happen on the hourly. Let me give you some targets. So can you see here this ascending triangle? We've broken out of it. We've come back down and beautifully bounced off of it. So this has now been flipped from resistance to support. We've now been bouncing off the top of the EMA ribbon. So we're going up. Let me widen it out for you a little bit. So now you want to look for volume, and you want to look for, make sure there's no divergences in the RSI, which I'm not seeing. So this could be coming back into the sideways panel and then continuing up. But this is a confirmation of a breakout in the making, right? Usually you would wait till we got a clear candle at about 2405 to enter this trade. However, you're going to run directly into resistance at 2412. So if you're wanting to play it safe, if you're scalping, you can either just ride it out all the way up here, or enter above, which is a safer and more conservative bet here to actually play, not worry about this bull flag target, which is 22456, but we'll go for the big one, which is 2524. And then if we reach that target, it's possible we could continue to go up, come back down a little bit, go all the way up to the next target of 2785, which is the golden pocket and the top of this rising wedge. Ichimoku is looking way more bullish than Bitcoin. Look, it's all green and it's on an incline. Whereas Bitcoin, if we go to Bitcoin, the Ichimoku cloud on the 1 hour has got this red resistance cloud looming. So if we break for Bitcoin, if we break up above this here, and all of a sudden we get a rally and we get up here, then this descent might just come back down to the golden fib to confirm that. That's something that you need to watch out for. XRP. Gosh, so many coins here now. XRP, I think, is a coin that we kind of got to be really careful of because it has been hugely volatile, big swings in the opposite direction. We've been trading nicely in this descending channel. We've started to turn around. We're still under the EMA ribbon for the daily and the 100-day moving average. So that means we've got a lot of resistance above us to get up to this line here where we could break to the upside. This is descending, so that means we're going to break up to the upside more often than not, and the first target is going to be $1.17. Remember, we've got a lot of resistance at $1.05, somewhere between $1.03 to $1.07. We've got a lot of resistance here at 87 cents. So we've got quite a bit of resistance to get through to get back up over $1 for XRP. Let me have a look at my chart. That's wrong. Something happened to all my charts. Somewhere along the line, they got all out of whack. That's weird.
I hate when that happens and your trading view gets all messed up. You don't know what you're looking at. That's why I color code my trading views so I know which one I'm looking at quickly.
Yeah. So this is my pickup sticks. So you can see the channel. Let me just this is my pickup sticks chart, which you can see things a lot better from my perspective. But I know people have said that they want the cleaner charts as well. So here's the channel, right, that we've been going in. So within this channel on the 1 hour, there's also been this ascending wedge on the pink. See this ascending wedge on the pink, these pink lines here, and on the daily. And we've broken out of that, which you break to the downside, but this is what we're saying. It did not come back down to the target all the way down the bottom here at 54 cents. It's reversing back up. So we go into the 1 hour to see, is there a trade here for us? Sorry about that. I had the chart all well done on the other one, but the lines have just disappeared. So here we go. So here is this, within this wedge that I've been talking about, we also have an ascending triangle, which we might need to move the lines down a little bit now that we've got some greater clarity. And we've got this, this kind of like sloping channel down here coming back into it. But we've got a red cloud. So here in Ichimoku, so my sense of it is that we could go all the way back up to the top of this triangle or get back down to 67 cents and then reverse back down a little bit before we pick up some momentum and volume. And look, there's like virtually no volume here for XRP. However, if you picked XRP up here at the bottom, right, and rode these waves over the last few weeks, you'd be in a little bit of profit, but you might be breaking even based on your leverage and the fees you're paying. So this is what we're saying. You've got to weigh this up. We're not in a market that's moving fast for you to hold trades open day after day after day to get enough profit in them to combat the fees and give you profit at the end. Because remember, you're paying fees if you're margin trading every 8 hours.
Yeah, one thing that's really cool is on Bybit, they've now introduced their limited futures contracts that have an expiry date to them, and they're not actually charging the funding fees on those contracts.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool because it's almost half the fees. You still get charged the maker taker fees though, so you do want to be careful that when you're entering trades, you're doing it before a significant market movement if you're going to be keeping them open, because those maker taker fees can whittle away your trade as well.
Yeah, well, we're going to do a video on that. But back to the TA for XRP, we're coming back into the pattern. So the Ichimoku cloud is not looking that bullish. There's very little volume. You're going to be paying a lot of fees over the time it takes to get to the top. So that's something that you've got to think about if you're going to trade XRP. I've decided I'm going to wait for the big breakout. I don't want to risk any of my capital here. I want to see some speed and some volume coming into the market. Otherwise, I just don't know how worth it is. But, it's up to you individually what you want to do, because it is going up. And if you're looking at making 10% on 10x leverage or 3% and you're scalping, that's good. But if you're looking at a trade which you want to hold open for the pattern to confirm, what we've been saying all along in this live stream is these patterns haven't been playing out 100% to their targets. So I'm readjusting my strategy to take the profits earlier. And then see, like if you rode this up, which I did, and I saw there was resistance here, it came back down. So I got out here, and luckily I did, because we came all the way back down here, and then you could have gotten back in here for the trade and not lost fees that you pay during the time it takes for it to recover, if that makes sense. So bottom line with XRP right now is it's a waiting game to see what's going to happen for a trade. But again, a big trade incoming for this. Now, somebody said they want to...
Waiting is the hardest thing we ever do as traders, and it can be the most profitable.
Yeah.
Right. Overcoming your FUD and your FOMO and having the patience to wait for those really good market indicators is actually what makes the difference between the upper 1% of traders and the people who are losing a lot of money.
Yeah, we're really big on mindset and psychology here. So EOS is actually looking rather bullish on the overall, not in the short term time frame, but overall, this is it's going to be days before breakout though, right? Unless we break out here. You've got a lot. You're in the Ichimoku cloud red, so we're looking at... Didn't you trade this, Teresa, and you found there wasn't much?
Well, yeah, I was trading EOS for a while, and I stopped trading it because there just wasn't enough volume when it did break out. And so often the targets weren't particularly predictable. It's a tough currency to trade. For me, when I want to trade currencies, I want to find the ones where there's enough volume there that there's confidence in the moves you're making, right? Which is why I've actually started trading, Bybit's expiring futures contracts. But I'm realizing those contracts don't have a lot of volume in there either. So you need a much more conservative approach when you're trading stuff that there just aren't as many people trading it, and therefore the moves aren't as strong.
Okay. So, so on the 1 hour, we could be in for a breakout here, but not for a while, because usually you get the breakout towards the nose or the beak of the triangle, which was going to take us up to around $4.17. If it breaks to the upside, if it breaks to the downside, it's going to take us down to, depending on where it breaks out, obviously, give or take, it's going down to $3.62. But generally speaking, this is following Bitcoin. So whatever Bitcoin does, it's going to do. But it's days away, right?
You could trade the bounce if it comes back down into the pattern.
Yeah.
As a possible trade. If I were trading that though, I would be watching my trade until my stop loss is in profit, because I would want to get out of the trade if it moves out of the pattern, but I wouldn't want to set my stop loss that close. Setting your stop loss that close is like an invitation for someone to stop loss on you. So I would just have the stop loss in my mind close, get out of the trade if it looks like it's going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't actually be using the stop loss tool.
Yeah.
So that's something, it's a little riskier when you're trading bounces, but they can be profitable trades when there's enough of the pattern there to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, and if you have a look at the volume, look, there's a lot of manipulation going on in here with the dumping, right? But not a lot of whales coming in to buy it up. So I wouldn't trade this. I'd rather put my capital into something that was more predictable and giving me trades more regularly. That's just my personal opinion. It's up to you. But if you're looking at going a bit sideways here, and I would say probably sometime tomorrow or the next day, we might get a bit of a dump. So there's a good short there to come back down, possibly. You just have to keep watching because this Ichimoku cloud is dynamic. And just to let you know, I'm doing the cracking cryptocurrency Ichimoku. So the settings are set to the crypto market, which trades 24/7 instead of the stock market. But yeah, I wouldn't trade this myself. I just don't like the volume. It's all over the place and there's so much price manipulation going on. But if you love it and you're making money off of it, then that's great. That's your field of expertise that I don't have. Awesome. So just to reiterate, as we close,
actually, I have one more thing that I think would be really cool to talk about today. Can we add one more topic in?
Yep, we're over time.
We over time? You know what? Let's leave it for when we go live next time then. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So guys, we're going to have maybe an exciting event announcement tomorrow, which we're going to go live for with, let me give you a really quick sneak peek with our event here, the Conscious Crypto Conference event. And tickets go on sale tomorrow. And we've got all these really awesome speakers. Yay! Chris from MM Crypto, Da Vinci J, Nomad Capitalist, Andrew Henderson, me. Ivan on Tech is still to confirm, just to let you know that. We've got Jeroen from the Blockchain Today, Marzel Money, and then we've got some other speakers coming in on the expert panels. So this is going to get released to you tomorrow in our live stream. We're so excited about it. This is the very first conference for crypto traders. There's been a lot of conferences for crypto investors and hodlers and blockchain, but nothing for traders to specifically help you get better and become more profitable. So we're going to announce that tomorrow. So, and the other thing I just wanted to say is just be careful out there, right? And until we meet again, Teresa, what do we always like to say?
Trade consciously.
Thanks, guys. Oh, don't forget to like
time.
it. Don't forget to like the video.
Yeah, give us a subscribe and hit the notification bell. We really appreciate all your support for the channel.
All that. Thanks, guys. Bye.
See you next time.
Shit.